Tbilisi, a city praised by Sayat Nova's poetic talent and Pirosmani's unique artwork. Rustaveli and Marjanishvili avenues and Baratashvili embankment, all of them stand out for their beauty, elegance and grace. Shirakatsi described the city as gentle, trade-oriented, glorious and simply great. Later on, Tbilisians would call Tbilisi the little Paris of the Caucasus. But who knows, maybe Paris is a bigger version of Tbilisi. A city legend says that when Manat Sakhanov, a wealthy local businessman, built a bridge that cost him 25,000 rubles, he would later measure all his deals in bridges. "Today I have won 2 bridges at the stock exchange," he would exclaim. He had a dream to give bridges to St. Petersburg and Paris as gifts. He desired to see a Manat Sakhanov bridge right next to the Waterloo Bridge. Old and new, generous and romantic, cozy and somewhat insane, the city's squares and streets have always been full of life. Tbilisi is a lifestyle, a state of mind, or a lifelong bond, if you will. It is a city that leaves a strong impression, just like the finish of a fine wine. It's no wonder that Georgia is the birthplace of polyphonic singing. Tbilisi also had a very special polyphony of its own. It was a melting pot of traditions and cultures of many nations with many languages spoken. And from all those languages, Armenian stood out. Since the time of Georgian King David IV, or David the Builder, Armenians have enjoyed the favor of Georgian rulers. King Vakhtang Gorgasali granted them immunities and liberties. Armenians were treated as mokalak, or the privileged elite of Tbilisi. They played an essential role in the economic and cultural life of the city. Virtually all mayors of Tbilisi from 1840 to 1917 were Armenian. Today, Tbilisi is enjoying a revival. The city flourishes with every passing day, with its old quarters acquiring more new features. But right in the middle of this flourishing revival, the Cathedral of St. George, the Armenian heritage of Tbilisi and arguably the oldest Armenian church in the city, looks abandoned and helpless. Its walls are covered with deep cracks and its plasterwork has long faded. The church was built by the ancestors of the revered Armenian military leader Vardan Mamikonian and was later restored by King David VI of Georgia's spiritual mentor. Byzantine, Khazar and Mongol invaders destroyed it, but then it always rose from the ashes again and again. Local Armenians have been getting married and baptizing their children here for centuries. Churchgoers come here on the warm days of May to lay flowers on the grave of the great Ashukh, or mystic bard Sayat Nova. The revival of the Cathedral of St. George will allow people to look at many things from a different perspective. Seeing the church reconstructed, they will put aside their plans to pack and leave. They will understand that they are not alone and are not forsaken by their compatriots in the land of their ancestors. They will find a new meaning in life, inspired by the desire to build a brighter future for generations to come. The two eternal questions, who's to blame and what to do, have a concrete answer in this particular case. We are to blame. Leaving our homes, becoming successful in foreign lands, chasing after material wealth, we often forget about spiritual values. But wherever we go, we have to keep in mind that only a tree with strong and deep roots will live for ages, growing higher, surviving the most savage storms and still bearing fruit.
Одна из главнейших задач, значит, укрепление
Our key tasks are reinforcement, reconstruction, and restoration of the church. After the exterior is reconstructed, elaborate restoration work has to be performed inside the church. The frescoes will be carefully removed and conserved and be installed in their original positions after the plaster work has been completed. The iconostasis will also be restored. What to do? Build. Just like Aramiant, Mantashev, Melik Kazariant, Pitoyev, Tamamshev, and Manat Sakhanov, who measured life in bridges, have done. Today, we have to build our own bridge that will connect our aspirations, efforts, and capabilities, just as we did in gold-domed Moscow, with the construction of the Armenian cathedral and monastery complex to serve as a spiritual center for all Armenians. The idea for the restoration of the Cathedral of St. George was supported by the Georgian president and the mayor of Tbilisi, and received the blessings of the Catholicos of all Armenians. We are reviving this Armenian jewel not only for the sake of our souls, but because we also want Tbilisi to maintain its centuries-old flavor. We may choose either to restore the church only or recreate the complete picture by supporting the revival of a piece of old Tbilisi saturated with the Armenian spirit. We will give the church an opportunity to live and flourish. Our prayers go to those who are concerned with the unification of all Armenians. We send our blessings to people who help to preserve our churches and do their best to maintain the steadfastness of our faith. To make sure that the Armenians in Tbilisi have a place to get married and baptize their children, that roses are brought to the grave of the great Ashur, that the sound of the duduk is spread over the Georgian capital, that Armenians of Havlabar continue to speak in their unique accent, and Armenians of Sololaki still stand out for their elegant manners. That when we turn our eyes to the Cathedral of St. George and the central square that houses sanctuaries of other faiths, we have to keep in mind that all nations have but one common road to the temple.
Amen.